I see, I
I just
see.
didn't know what I was doing, you know, like I was becoming fit, but fit for what? I was getting good at soccer,
Okay.
but I wasn't skilled for it.
Right, right. A lot of people do ask themselves that at one point, like, okay, I'm working out, I'm doing all this exercise, like, but for what? What's the goal, right? You know, but
there were these guys in black suits,
yeah,
and they told the coach, because there was a football team training there,
yeah.
and they're like, hey, does this guy go here? And the coach was like,
Nah, he doesn't.
I guess they were impressed by me running lap after lap after lap at a fast pace.
Right, right.
Because there'll be days that I'll jog, but there'll be days that I'll run. What do you call that?
Like sprint?
Yeah, I'll sprint.
Yeah, you'll be running, basically. How many miles did you say?
3.
3 miles. Okay, no, yeah, that's actually pretty intense.
Yeah.
3 miles non-stop, like, yeah.
I just focused on myself, but there were people that were around me kind of getting put down.
Yeah.
But I wanted them to get motivated. Like, hey, come on, man.
No,
There was
yeah.
somebody I didn't see in a long time that
I see.
he was jogging, but he saw me started sprinting, and I just didn't see him. Like, he just laughed like, hey, dude, I hope I didn't encourage you, man.
No, yeah. No, yeah, when I used to be in high school, which was a while back, our warm-up was 3 miles. 3 miles. You have to do 3 miles.
Man.
And that was just the warm-up. Yeah, so I can relate. I used to kind of hate it.
Okay, 'cause I didn't do squat in high school.
Nah.
Only like after college, like, I didn't even go to college. I'm saying, like, when I was 18, that's when I started getting into jogging and all.
Oh, all right. So you started a little
cool.
later.
High school, that's cool, man.
No, yeah. After high school, actually, I stopped exercising. You know, I actually gained a lot of weight right after high school. I was like 40 pounds overweight. Yeah, so just being like a couch potato, just eating fast food, you know, nonstop, like, and yeah, I gained like 40 pounds. But luckily, you know, I lost it. You know.
Yeah, you look in shape.
No, yeah.
I remember I'll start running for 5 days,
Yeah.
and I could tell the difference. I don't have the same energy out there.
No, yeah, it gets to you eventually. All right, basically almost done here. So what brings you to this area right now?
I'm hungry.
Oh, okay, you're gonna get something to eat in there?
My bank for like since Saturday I had no money.
Yeah.
But I finally they opened because it was closed over the weekend, like Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
And just now they barely got to withdraw my money, so I'm ready to eat.
You're ready to eat.
Yeah, I have been eating the weekend, but you know, I was struggling a little bit, but I got my money.
All right.
Yeah, USC was a lot smaller.
A lot smaller?
Yeah. They made a lot of buildings. It looked more like a city, more like a street.
Yeah.
Now it's more like a campus.
I see. Yeah, I know. I tried setting up this table inside and twice already, and twice they kicked me out. Yeah, it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. As I said, they kind of made it a little more private to keep the public out.
The layman security. LA Universal?
Yeah.
They'd be nothing but cheaters cheating on their spouses.
Yeah.
Stealing. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, no worries. All right, so yeah, I'm finished setting up. Yeah. So 2 very easy questions. Let's see if you get them.
Okay.
So the first one is have a box truck, and there's a bowling ball hanging with a string inside of it. So out of these 3 box trucks, one is at rest, meaning it's not moving, it's just sitting still. One is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of the 3, which one is at rest? Which one's not moving? Which one's sitting still?
this one, but
Which one's
it's not this one.
why don't you think that one's
It's not resting.
no, but the box truck. The box truck. So one is accelerating forward, one is accelerating in reverse, and one is just parked somewhere. It's just parked. It's not moving. So which one of these three box trucks is not moving?
Oh,
That's the question.
the B.
B, yeah, B is not moving. Yeah, because the bowling ball is standing
I
still.
was overthinking.
No, yeah, you were overthinking
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I thought you
Okay.
were talking about the ball.
No, the ball. No, I'm talking about the box truck. The box truck. Yeah. So out of these three, which one is accelerating forward? Out of these three box trucks. So obviously it's not B. It's A. Yeah, you got it. Why? How do you know it's A?
Well, you know the force pulls it back when it goes forward.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you accelerate and you get pushed back in your
Yeah.
seat, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
It happens in the car.
Yeah, the word for
Especially
that.
the passenger seat, you feel it more.
Yeah. So there's a word for that, inertia. That's what they call it, inertia. So the matter resists the motion. So yeah, you got the first one.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
pretty easy. See. So the second one's a little bit. It's pretty similar, obviously, but instead of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon. So a helium balloon inside a box truck now, tied to a string. So out of these three, which one is at rest? Which one's not moving? What box truck is not moving? E, exactly. Because that one's not swinging in any direction. Which one's accelerating forward? No, this one's actually the opposite. So in this one, the reason why is because the helium balloon is less dense than the air, right? It's less dense. So when you accelerate forward, all the air inside of the box truck is also moving forward through space. It's also
Easily pull it.
so because the helium balloon is less dense than the air, and the air is moving, that air is able to push it. So when you have something that's more dense, like a bowling ball, the air is not dense enough to push that, so the bowling ball just swings back. So if something is less dense, it gets pushed in the same direction of the acceleration. So
You got it.
yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten it if you would have gave me more time. I would have still would have.
No, yeah, a lot of, believe it or not, over 75% of people don't get this one. I guess because they
Damn.
yeah, the helium balloon always gets pushed in the same direction. So let me show you this. Look, very. So here, check a look. This is inside a cargo van. I put a apple hanging from a string and a helium balloon.
Ooh.
So since we understand the helium balloon gets pushed in the same direction the air is moving, which means that that's the same direction the van's moving, what direction did it accelerate the van here? To the right or to the left? Yes, you got it, exactly, because the helium balloon shows you that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
I just learned that about the balloon. That's one way to tell.
Yeah, and here, look, I did it
It's another way.
in a container filled with water, but instead of that, it's a ping pong ball that's buoyant, less dense than the water, and the steel ball is more dense than the water. So what direction would you say I accelerated here? To the left or to the right? Exactly, because that's the direction buoyancy is showing you. You know, buoyancy follows the direction of the force.
Cool.
So,
Man.
yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to get two right to be.
No, yeah, but these are similar to this, but you got it. You got all four. So,
Oh yeah. Okay.
So here's the last one before you go. So I actually had a water bottle like this. I had a water bottle, and I had them at rest. I only accelerated one down towards the ground. Out of these two, which one would you say I accelerated down towards the ground? The one on the left or the one on the right?
Oh, the right.
The right, yeah, obviously, right? Because that one shows the reaction. The ping pong ball gets pushed down, and the steel ball kind of like swings back, which will be up. You know, so I accelerated the one on the right down. Let me ask you this: if I have a bottle like this, you know, and I'm holding it, and I release it into free fall, do you believe it accelerates down towards the earth in free fall?
Wait, say that one more
So if
time?
I'm holding this container like this, right, and I just simply release it, like I don't accelerate it down, I just release it into free fall, do you believe it accelerates down to the earth? Like, do you believe gravity
ping
pulled?
pong.
Well, the whole bottle. Do you believe gravity pulled it down to the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Increase.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The one on the left is actually free fall. I just released it. But we see that matter doesn't react to that acceleration. The ping pong ball doesn't get pushed down because, I don't know if you knew, gravity is just a theory. So the pulling force of gravity has never been physically proven. So a downwards acceleration, a physical downwards acceleration, has never been detected. So that's why gravity is just a theory. So here's the thing.
hell?
Yeah, since we understand.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. So since we understand buoyancy, right, follows the direction of the force, right? If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? A helium balloon. Here, if I let a helium balloon go, what direction does it go? Helium balloon.
Okay, what was the whole question again?
Yeah, if we understand buoyancy, right, follows the direction of the force or of the acceleration, you could say. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth,
yeah,
what direction does it go? It goes up, right? Yeah. Obviously. Why do you think it goes up? Because obviously the helium balloon's not pushing itself up. It's not moving itself, right?
I was going to say gravity, but no. Gravity's supposed to put you down.
Exactly. But again, gravity's just a theory of pulling force, so it's never been proven. So it's actually the air. The air's more dense than the helium, so the air's pushing up the helium. Yeah. No, it's all... No, but here's the thing. If the air's moving up through space to be able to push the helium up, what's pushing up on the air?
Okay. Sorry, one more time.
So if the air is pushing up on the helium, right, to push it up, the air's actually moving up as well. So what's moving or pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium?
I was going to say the clouds.
No, the clouds are above though.
Okay, what's
pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium? You're close. It has to do with gravity.
So the gravitational force.
Yeah.
The magnetic field.
No, it's not the magnetic field. So it is gravity, but it's not a pulling force of gravity. It's a pushing force of gravity. So the Earth is not pulling you towards it. It's pushing up against you. So the Earth is literally pushing up right now on you. And that same push, the upwards push, it's actually pushing on the air as well because the air's here, and that's pushing up the helium. So it's a chain reaction that happens. Kind of like with the van. The van pushes the air inside of it, and then the air is able to push the helium. So the Earth is pushing the air up that's here, and that's pushing up the helium. So the gravity, again, is a theory because it's not a pull, it's a push. So the Earth is literally moving up right now. We're all connected to it, and we're all moving up.
What about Newton?
So that's all, they're just theories. It's just someone's imagination, it's not real. So a theory hasn't been proven, and that means it's not real.
Well, I thought Einstein proved it.
Well, that's another theory. I don't know if you knew it. Einstein, the theory of relativity, that's what they call it. So that's just another explanation. So here's the thing. You believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like this, right? So I don't know if you knew, up is relative on a ball, meaning if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing in the bottom of it, it's in the opposite direction. It's in every direction away from the center, up.
Yeah.
So if the ground is literally moving up, and we could prove that through buoyancy, if the Earth is moving up, how can the Earth be moving up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
I guess it's a phenomenon caused
By the spin?
Yeah.
Okay, some people do say that.
It creates its own dome.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the reality. If the Earth was a ball and it was moving up, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding. It will have to be growing because it has to be pushing up in every direction away from the center. So that means it would have to be growing, which basically it will just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that the Earth's force is a push, a globe Earth wouldn't even work. So it wouldn't even work on paper. So in order for people to believe in the globe Earth, they have to believe in a pulling force of gravity. But the reality is, the Earth is a level plane. You know what level means, right? Level means horizontal. So a horizontal, so it's a horizontal plane, and we're all standing on it, and it's literally pushing up on us right now. So everybody's up is the same. There's no such thing as China being upside down underneath a ball. Everybody's on the same playing field, pretty much. So the Earth is a level, not a ball.
Well, yours is a theory too, right?
Well, it's backed up by physics.
Oh.
That's what I'm showing here, the simple physics of buoyancy.
Okay.
So it's not a theory, it's factual. The globe Earth is a theory.
But isn't Einstein, didn't he use physics to...
Well, he uses, I would say, pseudoscience, which is not real physics. You've heard of the term pseudoscience?
No.
Pseudoscience means fake science, in other words.
Oh.
It means fake science. So put it this way, it's not backed by natural science. Natural science is the real world. It's reality. They use formal science. Formal science is language based, meaning it's just words that is not backed up by the natural.
Okay.
So that's the science that Einstein uses. He uses formal science because they use mathematical equations, right? In a board, they try to prove gravity using math. That's formal science. It's not real. So that's the number. So yeah, that's the number one proof that debunks the globe Earth, that the Earth is a push.
Isn't that the first step? Like, since you figured it out verbally and theoretically,
right?
The next step is to bring it to life.
Yeah, that's why I'm out here to show people, because this is the number one censored topic online as well.
Yeah.
They don't want people to find out that we've been lied to about what the Earth actually is. So yeah, that's the number one lie on Earth. So let me ask you this respectfully: what's the number one proof or reason that makes you believe the Earth is a ball? Why do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Oh well, what's his name? The Earth eventually curves.
So you think because the horizon, you think that's the curvature? We can't see past the horizon because it's curving down?
That's right.
That's why. Okay.
And at a certain same time, different place, the sun has a different say a tower.
Okay.
It has a different angle of the shade compared to the other tower.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about the Aristophanes experiment, I think.
Yeah.
With the sticks and shadows experiment. Yeah. So that same experiment can be done if the Earth was a level plane and the sun was actually very tiny and local. So let's say we're standing here, right? And the sun's right above you. It's not going to cast a shadow if it's right above you in noon, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But if you're further away from the light that's right here, eventually it is going to cast a shadow because the light's coming in at an angle. So that same experiment would work if the sun was actually very small above the Earth rotating. So yeah, we will get the same result. So that doesn't prove either or.
Are you saying the Earth, the sun, can't possibly be what they talked about?
Exactly. So they lied about the whole model. They lied about what the sun is, outer space. Outer space is actually Disney for adults. Everything about outer space is CGI. You know what CGI is, right? It's special effects in movies. That's all NASA presents about outer space.
Sorry, my balls.
No.
Yeah.
No worries.
Well, what? Yeah, but is it yet to be proved that the sun is?
Well, here's the thing. Nobody has proven what the sun actually is. Nobody knows what it actually is. But when we're talking about the ground we're standing on, like physically measuring if there's curvature or not, looking at the sun or trying to figure out what the sun is tells us nothing about what the ground is doing. So it's a false argument to talk about what the sun is when it comes to the shape of the Earth, in other words. So again, buoyancy shows us that
that's the first I heard.
No, yeah. It's believe it or not, a lot of people don't talk about this because first of all, it's kind of like a taboo subject. You heard of flat Earth, right, before?
Yeah. I never believed it.
Exactly, because here's the thing: over 95% of flat Earthers believe or claim the Earth is motionless. So they don't believe in gravity whatsoever. So they deny that Earth exerts a force. So they don't believe in a pulling force or a pushing force. So they're even worse than the globe Earth, the motionless flat Earth. That's 95% of flat Earthers online. So people like myself that expose both of those models, both of those claims, are completely censored, 100%, super censored. So both the flat Earth and globe Earth are the same. No different than Democrats versus Republicans. You know how Democrats and Republicans are just like a show for the people. They're both controlled by the same outcome. You know, it's no different than the globe Earth versus flat Earth. Because again, the Earth is not flat; it's level.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference. So do you have any questions for me? I mean, about this subject? Because I know you heard about this subject. Any questions?
Every now and then I have heard of it. I have seen. Well, technically, yeah, it's like fundamental. That's like kids still having their imagination.
Yeah.
Believing in flat Earth.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Because this is simple to understand why a helium balloon rises, right? It's because the air is pushing it, it's more dense. And then understanding what causes that, it's very easy to understand. So that's why they get us as children and tell us about gravity when we're very young, because they're molding our perception to believe in the ball of Earth. Now they're coming out with this motionless flat Earth, which is no different than the globe, because both of those, they both believe in a pulling force, a motionless flat Earth and a globe Earth. So now they're kind of controlling the flat Earth, you could say. They're controlling both sides. The fact is, the Earth is a level plane that's pushing up, and it's literally moving up. So people will call it like elevator Earth, trying to mock it, but that's what it's doing. It's literally moving up, and we're inside of it. Nobody can get out. So nobody knows what's outside of the Earth. That's a fact. So everything that NASA shows us, or any space agency, European or Chinese, everything's made up about outer space.
I saw the moon up close.
Yeah, the moon is like the sun. They're both within the Earth system, and they're both very small in comparison to the Earth.
People film very close.
Yeah.
Jupiter from a telescope.
Yeah. The planets, they're literally just twinkling lights that change colors. They actually change colors. But nobody knows what they actually are, because nobody's actually been to them. But they claim they know how the distance to them, the size of them, what kind of matter, like if there's a gas there or land. They claim all of that, and it's just to give a false perception.
I heard of that.
Yeah, so nobody actually knows what they are. But again, looking at the lights in the sky, the sun, the moon, and the stars, proves nothing about the ground. It's kind of like a distraction. You get what I'm saying? That's why they talk a lot about outer space in the news and everything, because they want to reinforce the belief that the Earth is a ball, like everything else they're claiming out there. But the fact is, if we actually measure the Earth, it doesn't bend, it doesn't curve. Yeah. So.
Well, I believe it does. I believe it's a.
Yeah. Again, why do you believe that? Besides, you said the horizon, right? Because you think there's a curve there and we can't see past it?
Yeah, the core.
The spin of the Earth?
So powerful. The Earth spins and creates its own gravity.
Right.
And creates its own atmosphere.
Right.
And with the oxygen, the H2O,
Right.
sunlight, nitrogen,
Yeah.
I believe it's an objective truth.
Oh, it's actually subjective, because it's not objectively proven. But here's the thing: this is how we know that there's no curvature of the Earth. This is the radius they tell us the Earth is, which is the distance from the center to the outer circumference. So the radius of the Earth, they tell us, is 3,959 miles, right? So that means there has to be curvature every mile. Every mile there has to be a dip every mile, and every mile has to increase.
Wait a minute, you said that's the radius from the Earth?
Yeah, 3,959 miles.
It's too small.
Yeah, I know. They claim that it's huge, right? But it's actually not that big, what they claim.
I actually never heard the radius. This is the first time hearing it.
Yeah. The circumference is 24,901, and that's the distance from, if you made a whole circle around the Earth and you came back, that's 24,901 miles.
Oh, okay. And this is like a cross.
This is just across, but from the middle. So you start from the middle. The diameter will be completely across, which will be double the radius. So that's the diameter. It's two radiuses completely across.
Oh, well, that kind of makes sense.
So the radius will be around right under 8,000. Right under 8,000 miles across if you cut through the Earth.
But it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. The curvature rate they're telling us is 8 inches per mile squared. Meaning, in the first mile there should be an 8-inch drop. Second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. You know how much is 6 feet. It's like the average height of a person here in the U.S. Yeah. So here's the thing, though. If we actually went out to a giant lake to physically measure for this curvature, water, when it's contained in a lake and at rest, the surface of water always lays level, meaning it's always horizontal. So if we build a level structure, like a ruler, a giant ruler above the water is going to be parallel to that. In other words, it's going to be the same distance all across the surface of water, because it's level. But they're trying to tell us that the surface of the lake, the surface of water, bends 8 inches per mile square. So in 3 miles, there's going to be a 6-foot drop from the starting point. So they're telling us that the water's not laying flat or level, it's curving. But that defies physics. The physics of water shows that it's always level from the surface when it's contained. Like in a pool, in a tub, or in the lake. It doesn't matter the distance, the surface will never bend. That's a physical impossibility.
That could be one little factor to a big picture that we don't know what's about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even believe, this entertainment, movies, TV.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all distraction.
Exactly.
Can you imagine a world without entertainment?
Yeah, we'll create our own entertainment.
I think I can. I think we'll be more advanced. We'll be more...
Individually, yes. Every single person will be more advanced mentally. We would all have traits, to be able to build.
So maybe what you're talking about.
Well, here's the thing, though. Because people believe the Earth is something that it's not, that mentally cripples people when they're very young. So when they grow up, they just believe everything they're told. So that's why people buy into the economy. They buy into this monopoly game we're playing of properties, buying property and selling property. So the reason why that happens to me, in my opinion, is because people, again, are so easily swayed and just believe everything they're told.
Yeah.
So by believing in the ball Earth, for example, you're disconnecting yourself from the true nature of what the Earth actually is. Because debunking the globe Earth proves that this Earth was created. I'm not a religious person. I go against all religions. But I do acknowledge that there is some kind of higher power or a God that created this place. Because it's intelligently designed. How the trees grow, how the plants grow, how our body works, our organs, how the... Exactly. Exactly. Everything. Yes. Exactly. To give us the exact light that we need for everything, for life to work. So it proves that the Earth was created. But if you believe in the ball Earth, what do you believe in? Evolution. You believe that everything came from nothing.
Not really. You don't have to believe that way. I believe in God.
Okay.
I believe just...
Do you believe in the... So you don't believe in the Big Bang?
Yeah. I actually believe he did the Big Bang.
Oh, okay.
It's like, the way I see it is, he's so big.
Yeah.
In the blink of an eye, we came to be.
Yeah, okay.
In the next blink, he blinks, we're gone.
Yeah, you could say it like that.
So he's so big beyond.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. You actually accept that there's a creator to this place because of the advancements of life, right? Most people would just buy into the Big Bang and that it exploded from nothing and God didn't cause it.
Yeah,
and,
I don't know about that.
So wait, so you believe in evolution too then?
Evolution.
That we evolved from monkeys? That evolved from bacteria?
Maybe.
Because that goes against God. Because God apparently created man and woman, right?
Just out of
mud and stuff like that. That's what the Bible says supposedly. But
what if it's it's been messed up so much over the years?
Right.
Maybe he did it that way.
Right. Wait. So you do believe in evolution then, and he just refined the human?
He left his fingerprints. It's definitely mold.
Okay.
Or maybe one day there was evolution going on, and you're like, okay, it's going too slow, speed it up.
Okay. So you think God intentionally made evolution happen to what we have now? In a way.
Because they have found bones that aren't Homo sapiens.
Okay.
They are from the same. They just branched off.
Okay. What if it was a different species of ape? What they found, and it wasn't actually a...
Yeah, they could tell that. They
Right.
can tell it's a different species, and they have to tell when there's a Homo erectus.
Right.
They can
Okay.
tell when it's in the Neanderthal.
I see. Okay.
I just believe. I don't believe God is all good.
Okay. Well, that's probably true.
So,
That's probably true.
I
Nobody
see
knows.
Evolution, I see that he was favoring.
Okay.
He is powerful.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. No, yeah, definitely.
He's not all good.
Yeah. So basically, this topic debunks not only the ball Earth, but it debunks all of their stories of evolution. Because without a ball Earth and without outer space and planets and all that, these stories don't fit. So the fact is, the Earth, in my opinion, was created, but nobody knows how. Or
I got a crazier theory.
what is that?
I even tell people get mad at me and say God is not a man, God is a woman.
A woman?
When you look at the nature of a woman,
Okay.
when she's mad in a household, everyone suffers
Right.
in the house.
Okay.
You're in punishment. God gets mad. Lives need to pay. So she needs to settle.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would say she's homicidal.
Homicidal, okay.
Makes her happy.
Okay.
So she's satisfied. Sudden massacres happen
Right.
in the edges of the world.
Okay. I would say,
Until it happens.
yeah.
Then it comes good.
Right. I would say a lot of the massacres that happen come from the greed or selfishness of man. Men
Yeah, but
create
it's
that.
like, some of it is so unfortunate that why is it so much bad look at this person? It can be a coincidence.
Sure.
Someone was behind that.
No, yeah, definitely. Everything happens for a reason. That's one thing I go with.
People in India are so suppressed.
Yeah.
Knowledge that
Oh yeah.
they got on a wheel from a big plane, an army,
Yeah.
US Army,
Yeah.
thinking they could hold on, and the force is not going to push them off.
Right.
And so many fell.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm like, man, I saw it that way. Such a good timing for
Yeah.
such bad shit. That's not a coincidence.
No, yeah, that's
But
definitely
that's
true.
a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, people get mad. God is a man. Well, you ever heard of the saying, life is a gift?
So what I'm getting at from you is that you don't think we have free will then? You think it's
Yeah,
all like
we
you
do.
think
We just gotta watch ourselves.
right,
Or we're gonna get in trouble
right,
and get humbled
right. Okay.
because our mom is gonna scorch us.
Yeah. Fair enough. Say that.
So, God is life.
Yeah.
And they say life is a bitch.
Yeah. You can say that.
But that's a whole nother thing.
No, yeah, it's a whole different topic. That's I would say that's philosophical in a way. What I talk about here is physical, but yeah. Yeah. No,
How
yeah.
do we get from here?
No, yeah, but it kind of connects the two, though. Believe it or not, this topic connects the two in a way, you know, because it makes you think about your existence and your reality and what it actually is. You know what I'm saying?
Because
So,
the nature of a woman, when you're happy, she don't want you to happy. When
Right.
things are going so well,
Right.
she don't want you to go too well. In life,
Yeah.
when you're doing so much good, oh man, you get a bad feeling. Oh, this too good to be true.
yeah.
And you feel it, and then it happens. That bad shit happens.
No, yeah, that's true.
I connect that nature to God.
Yeah.
Now, the women are beautiful. We're blessed. We wouldn't be nothing without
Yeah.
who birthed life.
Yeah.
A woman.
Yeah, you
No,
could say
I
that.
connect all
Females,
those
all
things.
species. Definitely.
The only person that can birth life is woman God.
Fair enough. Actually, I
So-
think the Indian, the Hindus, I think they believe in a female god. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they believe like in a few gods, different gods, like not just one. And I think one of them is a female. But I could be wrong, you know. But I think I've heard that, you know. So you're not too far fetched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I connect the nature to the women, and with the man it doesn't match. The nature of a man doesn't match with
To what
God.
life is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't question shit. We don't talk a lot. We don't speak about jealousy.
Okay.
God said in the Bible, He's a jealous God.
Okay.
Woman is very verbal about jealousy.
About their feelings, you could say. They're definitely verbal about their feelings. Yeah. I agree.
So I just, I'm like, I think God is a woman.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Shut up.
I think most guys don't talk about their feelings, and that's true. You know?
So,
Yeah.
there's a whole other shit.
Oh yeah, definitely it is.
Philosophical.
Philosophical, exactly. Yeah.
So I like to take my mind off of that and go to logical stuff.
Exactly. Logic is what keeps you sound, keeps you sane. It keeps you from going insane. You know. That's why we have common sense, in my opinion. Common sense. Yeah, that's what keeps us grounded. You know.
You
So,
gotta stay busy. You gotta stay busy
You gotta keep the mind busy, that's for sure. You know, because you could go crazy as well. Yeah.
So I like to talk about things like that. I believe that the Earth is round.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe that could change. You know, here I'll give you my channel.
Yeah, I agree to disagree.
Yeah, definitely. But here's my channel. I go to other universities.
Oh,
I go to UCR. I come here to USC, and I talk about this subject to all the students because it's the #1 censored topic online, and it's the biggest lie on earth, in my opinion. It's what the earth actually is. That's the biggest lie.
You're onto something, though. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That.
But check it out. I mean, any final thoughts before you go? I don't want to keep you too long.
You saying that it's yet to be proven, so.
The globe.
Yeah.
The globe is yet to be proven, yeah?
Nice talking to you.
All right, man. It was nice talking to you. I appreciate the chat.
Thank you for your time.
No
bro.
worries. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, you have a great day. You too, yeah. Thank you. All right. So I'm trying the vertical stream. See how that goes. Let me say hi to the chat before I continue. Huh. I'm gonna go back. What's up, one man, Simon, Green, Euclid Bendy Water, Jolly Man, Sean, JT, Orez, V Thomas, Angela, Terry Hayes, Flat Earth to Hyperborea, Renewed Awareness, Squirrel Sniper, Earthship Bear. What's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing good. So yeah. Yeah, so if you're on mobile and you're watching the live stream right now, if you just scroll up, it'll take you to another live stream. And basically you could just keep scrolling, and everything you scroll through is going to be live streams. So when you live stream in portrait, I noticed that, again, unless you're censored, which I think people can come across your channel just by scrolling lives. Once you're watching a live stream in portrait and you just scroll, you just get nothing but live streams. Only live streams come up. So hopefully this way I'm able to reach new people that are just scrolling, right? And come across this video. So that'll be nice to be able to reach new people. You know, so yeah. But we'll see how it goes. Again, this is just a test, just to see if there's any difference. Again, I'm pretty sure channels like mine will be completely taken out of the algorithm. So I don't think new people will ever come across my channel, in other words, without someone else, referring them to them, or someone else sharing it directly, YouTube's algorithm for sure is biased, obviously. It's completely biased towards the low Earth and stationary flat Earth, for that matter. So people like myself that expose both of those models, and demonstrate that the Earth is in upwards motion, they don't want that. So it's no surprise to me if they're completely taken out of the algorithm, So, what was the title? Special Pleading from the Globe Earth and Stationary Flat Earth. So obviously, in any other circumstance, for example, because globe earthers like to say, oh, buoyancy goes in the opposite direction of the force, right? And then if you were to ask them, oh, well, can you demonstrate that? Can you show me a force in one direction and buoyancy going in the opposite direction against the force, right? What they'll do is they'll just simply release a helium balloon and say like, look, helium balloon goes up while gravity's pulling down, right? That's no different than when you claim a pulling force of gravity, claim acceleration in free fall, and then just dropping an object, right? So that's no different than when you ask them to prove buoyancy moving in the opposite direction of a force. They'll just release a helium balloon, and again, special plead that in this one circumstance, only this circumstance of the Earth, it's the only place we can observe that or see that. In any other practical example, we understand buoyancy always follows the same direction as the force, right? But in this special circumstance, buoyancy goes in the opposite direction of the force. Now, if we were to put that in any other example, it will be completely ridiculous. For example, if you were, when you're a child, or when you're, if you were to put a tooth under your pillow, right, and you go to sleep, and you wake up and the tooth is gone, obviously someone took that tooth from under the pillow, right? Somebody, either, it could have been a human, it could have even been an animal that was trained to do that or just did it. But my point is, someone, in the flesh, you could say, remove the, or cause the tooth to be removed from under your pillow, right? But they want you to believe, obviously for children, that it was the tooth fairy, right? So there's a special circumstance in that sense, because in any other circumstance, nothing magical can happen like that. But in that special circumstance, it was the tooth fairy. But logically, we understand, we know that that's not the case. Someone took that tooth from under the pillow, right? Not the tooth fairy, So same thing with Christmas presents under the tree in Christmas, right? When a children goes to sleep, Christmas Eve, and they wake up and there's presents under the tree, we know it was the parents or someone that put them there, the presents, right? But they want you to believe that it was Santa Claus. It was a special circumstance in Christmas that there's magical flying guy with flying reindeer, came and put the presents there in Christmas. That's what they want you to believe. It's special circumstances that defy physics, But we understand, we know if there's presents under the tree, we know somebody put them there. Most likely the parents, right? That's obvious. That's factual, That's But again, they want you to believe in magic. They want you to believe something special happens. There's special pleading in this one circumstance that Santa Claus did it, right? No different than buoyancy. Buoyancy always follows the direction of the force, but in this special circumstance, it's the pulling force of gravity, which is not a real force, but the balloon still goes in the opposite direction of that alleged non-force, right? Only in this special circumstance, believing. That's no different, again, than believing in Santa Claus delivering your presents. Again, when we observe something that we know has a cause, for example, if we observe smoke, right? We can conclude that that's either something burning, some kind of engine, some kind of combustion engine, something is causing that smoke physically. Something physically here on Earth that can be recreated or replicated is causing that smoke that you're observing. But you want me to believe that it's unicorn farts, right? You want me to believe that smoke arises from unicorn farts. So again, special pleading in these special circumstances that you cannot recreate or demonstrate in any other way, in any other practical way. And that's what you want me to believe, that it's unicorn farts. Obviously the logical conclusion will be that something physical is causing that smoke that we can recreate and replicate. Whether it's a burning, something burning, or a combustion engine, it could be anything like that. We know the causes of smoke and we can recreate them. Not only that, we'll be able to verify it and replicate it. But you want me to special plead and believe that it's unicorn farts, right? So that's no different than saying that buoyancy goes against the direction of the force, but only in these special circumstances here on Earth that cannot be recreated or replicated or demonstrated in any practical way. Again, that's just ridiculous. It's pretty childish, you know, in my opinion, to believe that, you know. And it just shows that you're either at it or you have a huge bias, you know, a huge bias, and you're no different than a cult member. You're no different than a globe earth believer at that point, if you're a stationary flat earther as well. No different than a globe earth believer. Again, no different than a cult. So yeah, I mean, what else can I say, right? Yeah. Brenda, you can't prove that because, again, like I said, you can only special plead. It's just you warping the physics that we can see, not only see but test and recreate. You're warping that to fit your model. That's all you're doing. You're not proving anything. If anything, you're proving that you either don't comprehend the subject, or that you're just too dense to even care about truth, you know, or you're just straight up lying. That's the only thing you're proving, Brenda. So again, practical physics, reality shows that buoyancy will always follow the same direction as the force. Again, when you have a container, right, with a medium that's more a medium that surrounds the object that's more dense, in order for that medium to be able to push the less dense object in any direction, the medium also has to be moving in that same direction. Fact. You know. So if you're claiming, again, that it's gravity holding the air down, pulling it down, the air, then there's no way for the air to be able to push up a helium balloon. Because in order for the air to be able to push up a helium balloon, the air also has to be moving in that same direction through space to be able to push something that's less dense like the helium balloon. Fact. That's the reality. That's factual. It can be recreated, demonstrated, and repeated. It can be put through the scientific method. In order to recreate buoyancy, again, the medium that surrounds the buoyant object also has to be moving in the same direction that the buoyant object is moving, because the buoyant object's not moving itself. It's the medium that surrounds it that's causing that motion. But the medium that surrounds it, you know, not only cannot move itself either, but it has to be moving in that same direction to be able to push the helium balloon as well. The air cannot push a buoyant object if the air was motionless. It just doesn't work.
I don't think I'm smarter than that 5th grader.
Oh yeah, you definitely are. Easy. So
not these kids these days, man.
So here, 2 very easy questions. Let's see if you could get them. Mostly everybody get. Huh?
I got a 1st grader.
Oh really?
Who's already reading in chapter books.
Okay.
And further ahead than I ever was. I remember when I got out of I think it was kindergarten or 1st grade, one of those. I saved my report card.
Yeah.
Little Jimmy does not know his shapes, or does not know his colors.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because I didn't have the support growing up that I now give my kids.
Definitely.
So,
yeah,
let's see these questions,
Sure.
because I'm going to actually show them to my 1st grader. I'm not being filmed, am I?
Oh, you are. Yeah, you can actually take my channel.
Fine.
Yeah. So I have a box truck here, 3 different box trucks,
Yeah.
and there's a bowling ball hanging with a string inside the box trucks, right?
Yeah.
So one box truck is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3 box trucks, which one is at rest?
I'm going to assume this one's at rest because it's not moving.
Yes, you
The
got it.
inertia moves it backwards.
Yes.
Because my little one gets her yogurt in her face when I accelerate forward.
Yes.
I got to slow down.
Exactly.
This one's in reverse.
Yes.
But I now have to drive carefully so my little one doesn't get yogurt on her face off the red line.
Exactly.
So that's the only reason I remember.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think. Did I
no,
get it right?
No, you got it.
Okay,
And
good.
it has to do with inertia. That's the word we give that, that phenomenon. Yeah.
I'm teaching them. Yesterday I taught my 1st grader. He asked me, how does a baby in the stomach eat? How does it pee? How does it poo?
Right.
We looked it all up on an anatomy book.
Okay.
And I tell her this. I don't know all the answers. What do you see me do every time I don't know the answer? looking it up.
Yeah,
And look up two
research.
sources because there's too much misinformation out there.
Yes.
So, but either way,
You got it.
hold on.
Yeah.
You got it.
You got it.
Okay,
One
either
more.
way.
One more.
One more? Oh, shit.
Yeah, there was two. So this one's pretty similar, but instead of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon.
Okay.
So a helium balloon tied to a string inside a box truck. Out of these three, which one is at rest?
I'm going to assume it's not moving, so it's going straight up.
Yeah.
Unless there's wind acting on it, which there isn't because it's inside a box truck.
So you'll say B is at rest?
B is at rest, I'm
Yes.
guessing.
Which one's accelerating forward?
Oh, forward or backwards?
Forward.
Okay, forward. I'm not sure how a helium acts inside of a car, so I
You'll
can't
see.
tell you because there might be wind. There's no wind.
No, there's no wind. It's completely sealed inside.
So out of these two, I'm going to guess this one's moving forward.
Okay. Okay. So
Guessing.
You
Did I
actually
get it wrong?
Yeah, it's actually C in this case.
Really?
Yeah. So
So I
here's
don't know how it acts.
Yes.
That's why I don't know how
no, yeah.
helium acts.
Over 80% of people don't know.
So-
But here's the thing. When you have air inside of a box truck and it's completely sealed,
Yeah.
when you accelerate forward, the air inside of the box truck is also being pushed forward. It's
So
also
I did ask
moving.
the right question first.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how it acts inside of a box, a sealed compartment.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing though. When you accelerate the box truck forward, the air inside of the box truck is also moving forward through space.
Oh, I didn't
because
know that.
yeah, it's obvious.
Awesome. And a
Yeah.
fifth grader knows this.
If you explain it to them, they'll be able to answer the next one
Okay.
correct. But here's the thing, because the air is more dense than the helium,
Uh-huh.
it's able to push it in that same direction the air is moving through
Okay.
space as well. And that's why it moves forward. So here, I have a buoyant object here to demonstrate that.
Awesome.
It's a buoyant, it's in water, right?
Uh-huh.
If I accelerate in this direction, the buoyant object, because the water's more dense, the water's able to push it in that same direction because I'm also moving the water when I move the bottle. So look, see how I move forward?
Yes.
Yes, so that's buoyancy. It's a chain reaction of a force. So buoyancy always follows the same direction of the force,
If the
basically.
kid knows this, if the fifth grader knows this, I'm going to be very impressed. But at least I asked the right question. I don't know what the an enclosed system, how it acts on helium.
Yeah.
Or gases.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Before you go, here's the main point. So if I release a helium balloon here on Earth, and it go, what direction does it go? A helium balloon. If I just have a helium balloon here and I let it go, what direction does it go?
It's not going to go straight up because of the wind.
Well, let's say you're inside a giant building and you just release a helium balloon. There's no wind left or right. It's just.
I assume it goes straight up.
Yes, exactly. It goes straight up. Why does it go up?
And the gases of helium are different from the gases inside. 21% of the air is made out of oxygen. I was just talking to my little one about this.
Yes.
Most of it is what, nitrogen?
Sure, nitrogen and oxygen.
And then 1% is something else that I explained
Just
to
a
them.
bunch of different mixed gases.
So,
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's just how it expands or something like that, or something with pressure or something like that. I don't exactly know, but I would look it up first
Sure,
before.
sure.
Explain it to me.
So the simple answer to why a helium balloon goes up is because the air is actually pushing it up because it's more dense. The air is more dense,
Okay.
so it's pushing up on the air, and that's
Okay.
and that's the same thing when you have a beach ball in water. What's pushing up the beach ball to float?
Yeah.
It's the water in that sense.
Yes.
So the medium.
Mono Lake salt water, you float up on the surface because of the density of the salt inside the water.
Yes, the density has to do with density. So it's not, if the medium is more dense than the object's going to get pushed by the medium.
Have you ever been to Mono Lake?
No, I haven't.
Floated up, it's freaking trippy.
Yeah.
You can just float on the surface like at a surfboard.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it's pretty cool with
It's easier to float, obviously, because the water's more dense. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
So
That's pretty cool.
no, here's the thing though. If the air is pushing up the helium, what's pushing up the air?
Ground?
Yes, you got it.
Okay.
So the ground is literally pushing up on you right now, which is what's pushing up the air, which is pushes up the helium. But let me ask you this: if I have an object here and I release it into free fall, do you believe it accelerates down toward the Earth? Like, do you think gravity pulled it down?
Well, this is pulling it down, and all of it will ultimately will pull down.
Yeah.
Let me think about it. You're
let me-
asking me
well,
at
make it easier. Just an object like this. If I have an object like this and I release it, you believe it accelerates down to the Earth?
what I've read, it accelerates to a certain point to
Sure.
terminal velocity, right?
Sure, terminal velocity. Exactly. You got it. So here's the thing. I don't know if you knew gravity is just the theory.
Yeah.
So, and a physical downwards acceleration has never been actually proven, or so that's why gravity is just a theory. So the fact is, The Earth, since we understand it's pushing up on you, when you release an object, the object doesn't move down toward the ground. It's the ground that moves up to the
I'll
object.
look that up today when I get back to the computer.
Look it up.
Gravity is just a theory.
Yes, it's a theory that hasn't been proven physically.
I think we were reading about a physicist. I forgot her name. Either way, I read a book to my little ones, or make her read a page every day, which I think is the 50 greatest female scientists. What blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And the last one we read was on physics, and I forgot her name. But either way, this is all awesome, man.
So
I wish my little one was here to watch this.
No, yeah, definitely. So yeah, let me just show you how we can prove that too, that there is no physical downwards acceleration, because we understand that when the bottle's at rest and I accelerate, the buoyant object will always get pushed in that direction because of the medium, right? So here I have two water bottles, and I only accelerated one of them down. Which one would you say I accelerated down? The one on the right or the one on the left?
I'm gonna say this one.
You think the one on the left accelerated down?
Yeah, not knowing exactly everything, I'm gonna just make an educated guess.
Okay, so the fact is I actually accelerated the one on the right down.
Really?
And when I accelerated down, you can see the air and the ping pong ball get pushed down as well, because air is less dense than water.
Okay.
So that's why it gets pushed down, the air gets pushed down. And then this one was free fall, but there is no reaction to that acceleration. Matter.
Oh, you're talking about, you use the word accelerate down.
Yes, accelerate
Free fall
physically.
is already free falling, so everything already settles.
So that's the explanation that they gave. But that kind of acceleration, that everything settled and accelerated without any effects of that acceleration doesn't exist. So that I would say that's special pleading for people that claim that acceleration down
Are you
is
getting a lot of
happening.
people coming to you today?
Oh, you're the second one so far.
Second one?
yeah.
So where's this get posted usually?
Usually I have a YouTube channel. I go to universities only to talk to
I'd
students.
like to find out so I can show my little one.
Yeah, so I'll give you my channel. Here's my channel. You can
My
take it
little
with
one.
you.
She's freaking smartest little thing I've ever
Oh,
been.
yeah.
She's so much smarter than I am.
Yeah, I actually have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old as well. So
7-year-olds and 1-year-old. I just went to go put lotion on her face right now because
Okay.
I don't ever want her to worry about. She has eczema.
yeah.
And I've seen her where she has eczema and she can't focus on what's being taught in class because she's always scratching. So I purposely go there every day at 11 a.m. to put lotion on her so she doesn't have that issue, so she can focus on class.
Oh man, hopefully
Because,
that gets better, because that's gonna suck to have to deal with
Are you
that.
Latino?
I am Latino. Yeah.
Because we cannot give people a reason to doubt us.
Right.
So anything I can do to just make sure those kids can just focus in class.
Yeah.
I don't mind just riding my bike to her school just to put lotion on her face so she can focus.
No, yeah, definitely.
Focus. She just started reading. She's 4.
Okay.
So
that's nice. So, just before you go, if we could prove that it's the ground pushing up on you right now, literally pushing up on you right now, right, not pulling you down.
Okay.
And obviously you believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah, in theory.
Yeah. So if you know up
It's
is
not
red.
perfectly perfectly shaped.
Oblate spheroid, that's what they say. Oblate spheroid,
Yeah.
like a squished ball.
Because I
they
looked
say.
it up. My little one asked me, "Is it a perfect circle?" And I said, "Let me look that up."
Yeah. So here's the thing. On a ball, up is relative. Meaning, if you're standing here, up will be this way. If you're standing down here, up will be in the opposite direction. In every direction away from the center, it's up on a ball, right?
Okay.
If we could prove that the ground is literally moving up or pushing up on you right now, and it's not pulling you down, how can the Earth be moving up simultaneously in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Okay.
How would that work?
I'm not going to answer that because there's too much information that I need to absorb first.
Okay, sure.
So, because I'm pretty sure anything I give you is going to be wrong.
Okay, sure,
So,
fair enough. So here's the thing. In order for the Earth to be moving up, if it was a ball, it would have to be expanding. It would have to be pushing up in every direction, which means it has to be growing. But then eventually it will just explode, so it wouldn't work.
True.
So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory first, they have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force, which doesn't exist. Again, it's just a theory that has never been measured or proven. The fact is, the Earth.
Sure, there's a lot of things that cannot be proven.
Exactly, but then there is
now.
a lot
all
of
just theories.
But there is a lot of things that we can prove. Would you agree on that?
So,
Yeah. So the Earth is actually a level plane, and it's literally pushing up on us right now. So we're all standing on the same level. We're all on the same level playing field. Nobody's underneath nobody else. So that's the fact.
I forgot who it was. We covered another famous female scientist who did a study on, I think, on nuclear fission.
Okay.
And then later on, she found out her study was completely wrong.
Okay. Yes.
But I told my little one, it's all right to be wrong.
Yes.
It's all right to be wrong because now you know.
Yes.
Now you know something you didn't know.
Yes.
Okay, so I believe it completely. Where sometimes we can't figure things out, and ultimately you find out what you thought was true is not true, because these other theories are basically give more evidence.
Sure. Okay.
To the contrary.
Here's the thing, though. If you create a study, or you do research on a topic, but you start from a false premise, in other words, you start from something that was already wrong, and you build off of that, then everything else is wrong as well, because you started from a false premise.
You didn't know that at the beginning.
Yeah, but you didn't know that.
You were
exactly.
If you're smart enough and you're willing to accept it.
Yeah.
You didn't know that at the beginning.
Yes, but here's the thing: the
Some
globe
people are not willing to admit that.
Exactly. So here's the thing: the whole globe Earth model, the heliocentric model, starts from the false premise that gravity is a pulling force.
Okay.
Because that's their explanation to a whole model. That's how they explain people sticking to a ball. That's how they explain how water bends and sticks to a ball. That's how they explain orbits. That's how they explain planets forming. The whole premise is based on the idea, because it's not fact, that gravity is a pulling force. So the whole ball Earth model relies on that belief. Okay. But the fact is, the force of the Earth is a push.
Earth model.
It's a
push. Is that something I can look up later on?
Yeah, well, it's the model we were taught, that the Earth is a ball, and we live on it.
I'm gonna look that up as well, because some of the stuff you gave me is going over my head a tiny bit.
No, yeah,
it's a lot of information.
It is.
I actually rode my bike earlier. It says I'm gonna stop by and check out this guy on the way back after I put lotion on my little one.
Okay. Let me ask you this: have you heard of the topic flat Earth?
Yeah.
So flat Earth is a psyop as well, and I'm gonna tell you why, because that's actually being controlled as well.
Sure, it's flat right now. It's just in this little spot right here.
Right. So again, over 95% of flat Earthers online, like people that
are you a flat Earther?
No, I'm not a flat Earther. I accept that the Earth is a level plane, and there's a difference between level and flat.
Okay.
So flat, most of flat Earthers online claim the Earth is motionless, so they deny the fact that the Earth exerts a force. So they don't claim that the Earth is pushing up or pulling stuff down.
Okay.
They have some crazier idea of why objects fall. But that's no different than the globe Earth, because the globe Earth actually has some pretty crazy ideas of why objects fall. And that's where Einstein's theory of relativity comes in.
Okay.
It's just an explanation, another theory to explain why objects accelerate down, but they don't.
Do you teach science at school?
I actually don't. I don't. No, I do this on my free time.
You do this on your free time? What's your 9 to 5 job?
I'm actually I work in moving.
In movies?
Moving.
Yeah,
I work in moving. Yeah, I have my own little business, so I work in moving. So I'm able to take days off to come out and do this. So yeah, I'm a slave to the system as well, like everyone else. But here's the thing.
So you do this for entertainment?
I do this kind of like because it's the #1 censored topic online. Literally, it's the biggest lie on Earth. In other words,
what is the biggest lie on Earth?
That the Earth is a ball. Oh, actually, that objects accelerate down in free fall.
Okay.
That's the biggest lie on Earth, because even flat Earthers believe that.
Okay, I'll look that up too.
Yeah, so again, they all claim the Earth is motionless, all these flat Earthers. So that's no different than the globe Earth with their gravity explanation that the objects go down to the Earth. But it's actually the other way around. It's the Earth that comes up to objects in free fall. So
sure, it's also nice talking to people and being out here.
Yeah, definitely it is. It is. So globe Earth versus flat Earth is a false debate. It's a false dichotomy. So it's no different than Democrats versus Republicans. It's no different. So they're both being controlled by the same people, in other words. So people like myself, people like myself that claim or show that the Earth is a level plane, because again, level, it's an orientation. If something is level, that means it has orientation, meaning it's perpendicular to the vertical. Something that's level is perpendicular to the vertical. And in order for something to have orientation, it needs to have a force. You need a force to have orientation. Without a force, you're just floating. You have no up, down, left, or right. So what gives us our up and down and all the directions, orientation, it's the push of the Earth.
What I'm getting from you right now is this, and I'm hoping your little one gets it too.
Yes.
The idea that do your research.
Yes.
Don't believe everything you read.
Exactly.
I told that to my 7th grader. Don't believe everything you read. Try to find multiple sources. If anything. Try to find some sources that at least, if you find enough of them, I think the majority of people will not lie, but at least hopefully your little one is getting from you the fact that you should always investigate, always question things if you don't believe in them.
Yes. And I would say that.
How old is she?
My little girl, she's 4.
4?
Yeah.
And hopefully she's doing all right.
No, yeah,
she
definitely.
gets that from you.
No, yeah, definitely. Hopefully. So here's my thing: if you can't prove it to yourself, then you shouldn't believe it. I think opens the doors to being deceived when you believe something.
That's why I told her about religion.
Yes.
We're talking about Noah's Ark.
Yes.
We said, it's just a book that somebody wrote.
Yes.
Do you really believe there's going to be 2 of everything? And we're even talking about DNA. You can't just make entire families of lions with just 2 lions. I mean, you can't have two male and female. The DNA source is too small.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
If you even look at the picture of Noah's Ark, there's 2 male lions.
Yes, I've heard something like that. Yes. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a
don't
joke.
believe
It's
it.
kind of a joke, you know.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of mocking people, in my opinion. You know.
But I will say this: my girlfriend, who is atheist,
Okay. I used to be atheist myself as well, but not anymore.
she thought she was dying.
Okay.
I caught her praying. She thought, I caught her praying. I said, what the hell was that? I thought you're atheist. I said, I'm atheist. I said, I'm just covering my bases.
Right.
But Pastor, why were you praying if you don't believe?
Fair enough.
I'm just covering my bases.
I've heard of that a lot before. People like, just in case.
There's no there's no atheists in a box. Either way, I believe it. Just do your research.
Yeah, definitely. Again, if you can't prove it to yourself, you shouldn't believe it.
Okay.
Before you go, though, can I ask you, what's the number one proof that makes you believe the Earth is a ball? Why do you believe the Earth is a ball?
I don't.
Okay, so you don't believe the Earth is a ball. You're open.
I can't be a perfect ball.
Or why do you believe it's like some kind of sphere?
I'm gonna believe it's a sphere because I saw it in a photograph that somebody else took.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
actually, let me just show you those. I actually have a couple. So these are
somewhat of a sphere.
Yeah, so these are official NASA images, which actually show a perfect sphere, which is ironic because they claim it's not, but that's what their photographs show. Every photograph
I'm
from
sure it's not a perfect sphere. The fact that they would say it's a perfect sphere, even they should say that. They're just saying that for the generalist or the general public.
Yeah, so they don't say that. They
If you
show
start-
us that.
If you go
Though.
off saying it's not a perfect sphere, you're gonna get too hung up on that. They have to say that.
Yeah, so here's the thing though. This one's from 2002 and this one's from 2012, and they're both from NASA's
They
website.
don't look like perfect spheres. This one looks a little bit pushed
Wider.
in on the side.
Okay,
So-
fair enough. But here's the thing. They admit that all of their pictures that they show us, they're all CGI. So they're all composites. And they admit that. They don't have a genuine photograph of the Earth from space.
They do from one of the satellites that just passed by it for really, really far, but you can't really tell the edges. I saw the image of one of the satellites that was so far away
Sure.
that it can't fit in a freaking single
Yes.
shot.
You know what CGI is, right?
I know what CGI is.
Is it possible that when they show us videos of Earth from outer space, is it possible that they're using CGI or some
Some
kind
of
of
them,
green
yes.
screen?
Not all of them.
Okay.
I'm not going to say.
How can you verify that not
You
all of
can't.
them?
That's why I'm saying some of them and not all of them.
But-
Okay, I'm not going to give it to you.
Sure.
I'm not going to give it to them either.
Fair enough.
Because I'm pretty sure you can get a single shot that can at least get the whole Earth in a single frame if you
Right.
get far enough, like I just saw just recently.
Definitely.
And I don't know exactly how that image was even composed, but I'm assuming that the Earth was so small that you could at least get it in that one shot.
Yeah, if we could prove that curvature of the Earth doesn't exist, would you be interested in knowing how we could prove that?
No, I wouldn't. That's too much information.
It's very
I gotta
easy,
go back to work
really
now.
easy to understand. But yeah, look, if you check my channel, I talk about this all the time. There is
Is
a
it on there?
there's a simple experiment, a measurement of the Earth that we can all do, and it will show that the Earth has zero curvature, and it's just an extended level plane.
Okay.
We could physically measure that here on Earth. So and that will debunk these images. It would just show that it's all CGI. Because if I showed you an image of me flying or a video of me flying, would you believe I could do that?
Depends on what flying is.
Well, me just flying like Superman with no external.
I'm sure if you jump up, you're flying right now.
No, but like if I was literally flying for like 30 minutes or 10 minutes, you know, flying back and forth, going up and down, like Superman.
I'll believe it. If I
You
see it.
believe? If I showed you a video.
Yeah, come on, show it. You got it right there.
So you don't think that could be? I could make a CGI?
I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming you have a video of you flying
I
somewhere.
actually don't, but I should make one, a CGI video of me flying.
So
But
what
I
do you
would.
do in movies?
Yeah, I wouldn't believe it though.
What do you
because-
do in movies?
Yeah, they
No,
create.
what do you do in movies? You said you worked in movies. No,
No,
moving.
moving.
That's
yes,
right.
Yes. No, movies.
Either way, I'm pretty sure you can come up with a lot of information, and the others can come up with a lot of information proving this or this or that. That's why I say look at multiple sources.
Exactly. That's what
The
I've done.
majority of people
That's
do
what
not
I've
do
done.
that, and they believe in one side versus the other side.
Yeah.
If anything, people should get this from you.
Yeah.
Not to believe what comes out of your mouth,
Exactly.
but to believe in at least doing your own research.
Yeah. The experiments that I show, like with buoyancy, for example, they can all be recreated and demonstrated, so they could all be put to the scientific method.
And that's
We
what
could
I
all
tell
prove
my
it to
little one. I say,
ourselves.
Don't believe everything I tell you.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it, look it up yourself
Yeah.
and do the
Prove it to
research
yourself at the end of the day. Prove it to yourself. Don't
Either
believe
way,
me.
I'll
Appreciate
catch you
the
later.
chat. Take care.
No worries.
All right.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Hopefully I don't look too bad on here.
Oh, no, you won't.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out. That's my
Okay.
channel. Yeah,
Take
yeah.
care.
Yeah, you too, man.
Oh, how long are you going to be here for?
I usually here for 2 hours, so around 1. I'll be here till around 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
take care.
All right,
What's
man.
your name?
William.
Jim.
Jim, nice to meet you. Yeah. All right, that was a good conversation. Hey, he wasn't so close-minded. He was actually pretty kind of open-minded, you know. The fact that obviously don't believe me, obviously, you know, and the fact that he doesn't believe in the globe either. Like, at least he's open. Maybe he does, you know, deep inside, but maybe he's open, you know. So he understands that obviously just believing, you know, can open the door to being deceived. In other words, if you don't understand something, obviously you could be wrong, you know. So that's pretty much it, and you know, that goes for everyone. And yeah, that's what it comes down to. Don't believe anything that you can't prove to yourself, you know. Because when you open your that door to believing someone, then you're opening the door to being deceived as well. You're committing to an idea that hasn't been proven, or you haven't proven to yourself, which in my opinion is pretty dumb to do that. Imagine in any circumstance, in any other scenario, to commit to an idea or to something that you haven't proven to yourself or hasn't been proven can be considered pretty dumb, you know. So yeah, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, I kind of like had to butcher that presentation a bit, because usually when I show the cargo van with the helium balloon, you know, right after the questions, that's usually what I do, but my phone overheated, so I couldn't use it, so I had to cool it down a bit. So I kind of had to just jump to the next point, you know. And eventually I went back to my phone because it went back. But yeah, my phone overheated, so I couldn't really show the helium balloon in the cargo van, which kind of like, it's a demonstration of what I'm presenting here, in other words, which is pretty key, you know. Alright, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Or anybody new, right? Sean Hawkins, you guys are hilarious. We live in an age of the Jetsons, and you guys still think like Fred Flintstone. That's funny. That was a funny joke. The irony is the other way around when it comes to mental capacity. You know, your mental capacity is that of Fred Flintstone, but when you realize that the Earth is in upwards motion, then you have a more advanced understanding or mentality, in other words. So when it comes to mental capacities, it's the other way around. That's funny though. This is comedy for smart people. What smart people? I mean, if you believe there's a physical downwards acceleration in free fall with no effects of acceleration, and that buoyancy goes against the direction of the force, I mean, how smart can you actually be, right? Yeah, I admit that there is some people that are smart in their field. You know, some people are very knowledgeable in what they do, and you know, have a lot of experience in a certain trait. And if you're saying that, yeah, there is a lot of smart people when it comes to a certain trait or in something that they do, but when it comes to the fundamentals of our reality, what smart people are you talking about? Again, when it comes to understanding the fundamentals of what the reality actually is, the majority of people are not smart. Again, I'm not saying people are not smart overall. Obviously, again, like I said, people are smart in a certain trait. You know, people can be really good, you know, at real estate, for example, or engineering, right? And yeah, they can be really smart or be considered smart in that field. But again, when it comes to the fundamentals of understanding our reality, over 95% of the population are not smart. They've been swayed by the propaganda, you know. So, and that's just a fact. Again, I'm not trying to say that to put myself on a high horse or anything like that. And this is very elementary level stuff. This is pretty basic stuff that a child should have an understanding of. So there's no way I'm trying to put myself in a pedestal. If anything, I'm highlighting the stupidity of the globe earth and the motionless flat earth beliefs. That's all I'm doing. I'm just highlighting that stupidity of those claims that contradict our practical reality. You know, and again, that doesn't put me above anybody else. You know, if anything, people are putting themselves down from the standard. That's what's happening. I'm not putting myself above the standard. People are putting themselves down below the standard. That's what's happening. And that's why to you it looks like I'm putting myself up, or I think I'm better than others. And again, that's not your own personal, that's a personal problem. That's a personal issue that you should work on. You know, just because you're putting yourself down, that doesn't mean I'm putting myself up. I remain grounded. I remain, you know, on the level where we should all be. We should all be on the same level. We should all have the same fundamentals, understandings about what the reality is, and about basic physics, in other words. Then from there, some people can advance in certain traits and stuff like that. And yeah, that happens. But when it comes to understanding our physical reality, there's a baseline for that, and most people are not at the baseline. You know. So, and it's unfortunate, you know, it does suck. I would love everybody to be on the same level. You know, maybe we could see some way better life if more people are focused on what matters, you know, and what matters. Life matters. Other people matter. Animals matter. You know, that's what matters. Life matters. But if you think money matters, if you think having a big house, if you think all of that matters more than life, then you're completely brainwashed. You're a product of the system. You have been successfully brainwashed to just be a product and be used, and also to use others. That's what you are. If you think there's things that are more important than life, and your life follows that belief, then you're no different than a cult member. Because a lot of people would say or acknowledge that, oh yeah, life matters, but their actions don't align with that, right? Life matters, but they'll still put, you know, money first. They'll still put their wants first, you know? Even though they acknowledge that life is the most important thing, but their actions don't align, you know? So it comes down to walking the walk as well. Not just talking the talk, you know, you gotta walk the walk as well. You know, you gotta lead by example. You know, if you come to that realization that there's nothing more important here on earth and this experience than life, other life, you know, nurturing, you know, other life, making sure everybody has the proper tools to survive, to live a good, healthy, and a joyful life. If you don't think that's the most important thing we should be striving for, then you've lost the plot. I would say that you're not being yourself, because you're part of that. You're part of life. You are life. So just like I think your life is important, you should think everyone else's life is important too. I think every life is important. I don't think we should be taking advantage of anyone for our own personal gain, or for anything for that matter. We shouldn't take advantage of anyone. We should be helping people be better. We should be helping others opposed to taking advantage of them. You know, and not only does this system take advantage of us, but it kind of molds people to take advantage of others as well. Which again, you're falling into what they want you to do. You're becoming a tool now. You know, you're being used. And you're being used for the gains of somebody else. Not even to help out your own community. I understand if somebody was being used or was volunteering a lot, in other words, to help their immediate family or their community, right? Because they want to do it, right? And they want to, you know, use all their free time to do that, and that's great. That's your free will, right? Some people might say that, oh, these people are not grateful, they're just taking advantage of you, right? But at least it's their choice, right? With this system, you're working, you're being a tool for someone you don't even know, and they could give a less fuck about what you think or how you live. They couldn't give a less fuck about you. Put it that way. The people you work for, the people that you wake up every day to go to work for, and I'm not talking about literally like your employer. I'm talking about like the whole pyramid scheme to the people on top, especially. You're working for the greater of someone else, for the greater good of someone else. You know, while everybody else is being fucked. You know, so that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And again, this economy facilitates that kind of life. We're living in a pyramid scheme, you could say. Everybody knows pyramid schemes, you know, are schemes, are bullshit, right? And everybody at least tries to avoid that, to not be part of a pyramid scheme, you know? But guess what? The life we live right now of government and the economy that we use is part of a pyramid scheme. And in order to have the basic necessities, guess what? You're forced to be part of that pyramid scheme. You're being forced, right? In a way, to be part of that. So I know it's like, it's kind of hard to just stop, right? When the majority are just living it. But at the end of the day, again, it's little steps like this, like I'm doing, you know, coming to the realization, the truth about the earth, you know, and how we're being fucked and how we're being mentally crippled. That's what it comes down to. Exposing this lie shows that we've been mentally crippled, and it starts up the gears again in your head, and then you start to see the other lies that come with it, you know, and you become more open-minded. What's up, man? Ooh, what happened? You want to have a chat about this? Yeah? I'll do the first question, see if you can get it. Two questions, multiple choice. I have a bowling ball hanging from a string. No, you haven't even heard the question. So, all right. Yeah, just some random guy. He looked like he was on drugs. Like, that's why I didn't even like want to, you know, start the conversation. But I also didn't want to be like rude, right? And not do the conversation with him. You know, he's human at the end of the day, but he was obviously on drugs. So I was gonna do the questions, but obviously he wasn't up for it. You know, obviously he has way more personal issues he needs to deal with before even coming to these kinds of truths about his existence and about the earth. You know, it sucks. You know, with that people. You know, drug addiction, you know, I know that's a thing, obviously. You know, I know it's not easy, especially when you're deep in it, you know, like when you're deep in a drug addiction, it's not easy to get out, but I can only hope that people that are losing themselves and are deep in some kind of addiction, like a drug addiction, that eventually, you know, you get out of it, you know, and the only person that's going to be able to get you out of that is yourself. People can try and help, people can, you know, provide resources, people can give advice, people can help financially, you know, all of that, but at the end of the day, it's for the individual to help themselves out of the situation. That's the only way you're gonna be able to beat addiction, is to basically do it on your own, because nobody can do it for you. You gotta want to change. You gotta want to live better, feel better, and be better at the end of the day. So yeah, I can only hope that people that are suffering through drug addictions eventually find the will to get out of it, because that kind of path never ends well, you know, never ends well. Not only that, you start affecting those around you as well. Not only does it affect you, your whole life, your whole being, how you feel and everything, your thoughts, your will and everything, it starts to affect those around you as well. And anybody that's lived, you know, or known anybody that suffers through drug addiction knows that firsthand, you know. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. So I can only wish people do eventually pull themselves out and yeah, move forward. sober up and and find themselves a little bit, then maybe a subject like this can maybe resonate with them a little better, because obviously when you're just in that hole, information like this is not gonna matter to you. You got bigger problems. You got more personal problems to deal with, bigger personal problems to deal with than what the earth is, right? And I get it. No, I don't judge there, but, and again, I don't even judge people that use drugs, I get it, you've made a mistake, life sucks, and there's ups and downs in life. I get that, but at the end of the day, you got to get yourself out of those downs, and some people have lower downs than others, some people have higher ups than others, but life is ups and downs. That's one thing I've learned, and it's learning how to navigate that, how to navigate those waves. It's some of like the best that I got out of that, it's learning how to navigate the ups and downs. But yeah, man, it sucks. I hate seeing people, lost on drugs. It's just, I feel bad, but I can only feel so bad, because you gotta feel bad for yourself too. That's the only way you're gonna even think about making a change. But you gotta, at the end of the day, we're all equals here, so I can only try and help others. What's up, Amanda? What's up, Boomy? Nate X. Pie-Eyed Piper. But what's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, it's a little bit warm. It's like 81 right now, I would say. Let me check. Oh. It's 76 right now. It feels a little warmer, I guess, because I'm just sitting under the sun. But 76 is not that bad. I would have preferred at 70 degrees. That would have been perfect. 70, 72, right? So it's a little warmer than normal, I guess you could say. Nate X, the programming is potent. No, yeah, it is. It definitely is. It goes deep, you know. It goes deep into people's core beliefs. It's literally a core belief for most people, you know. Again, that's why they get us when we're very young. So it could become a core belief, you know, because just believing something that you don't really care about, right, or that's not pushed on you as much, then you can easily see that, you know, the contradictions in it. If people showed you, you know, the contradictions, you can easily be shown that that belief is wrong, right? But when you have a core belief about something, like the globe Earth with most people, then it's harder for you to see the flaws in it. It's harder for people to show you how that's wrong, you know, because we put up a wall at that point. People put up a wall in front of them when it comes to their core beliefs, and that's why, you know, and that's why the brainwashing, you know, has to be potent. It has to be strong, you know, and that's why they get you when you're very young. And that's why it's all over, you know, Hollywood, movies, in the education system, in history. They even, you know, with Newton and Einstein and all, they even added to history, you know, all this gravity bullshit. They added in movies, in cartoons, in your science class, right? So it's from all these different avenues, and that's what makes it a core belief in people, you know, is that all these experts that are definitely smarter than me, right, are claiming the same thing. Right, but people don't actually sit down and think about the claims, you know, especially if there's no demonstrations that go against it that are being shown. So they just accept it. They just accept all of these beliefs, you know, at face value. And again, they start defending something they don't understand, you know. And again, it's all because it's a core belief, you know. And again, you can only help yourself from getting out of that. You know, from your, you know, you can only control what you believe, you know, at the end of the day. So yeah, some people can manipulate and trick you into believing certain things, but at the end of the day, it's your will that buys into it. At the end of the day, it's up to you if you want to believe it or not. But again, some people can manipulate and facilitate for you to believe these things, but it all comes back to you. You know, you believing, you choosing to believe that, you know. So at the end of the day, only you can get out of these beliefs as well, because you're the one that chose to buy into them. So, you know, it's only going to be you that gets yourself out, you know. And that's what I'm hoping to try and do here, is to plant a seed in people so that they can come to the same realizations I did, the same conclusions I did, based on what can be practically shown, based on what basic physics shows. You know, again, I can only plant those seeds in people based on the demonstrations that I have here, and that people, you know, at the end of the day, have the will, a strong will to get out of their beliefs, you know, and accept reality for what it is, just like I did, you know. And again, I'm not nobody special. I'm nothing special. I'm the average person, if anything, you know. And again, if I can do it, anybody can. You know, it's nothing special that I'm doing. There's no magical powers that I'm receiving from God. You know, I'm not meditating, like, you know, and trying to connect to a higher power. And I don't do none of that. You know, it's just me being honest with myself, with my God-given senses. You know, coming to the conclusions that I have. You know, that's all it took. You know, and everybody has that. Everybody has those tools. The only thing is that people, again, they put trust in others. They ignore their own tools, their own common sense, in favor of an image, in favor of a fluffy story. You know, people are buying into that willfully. You know, and again, it's because they're being manipulated and they're being facilitated to do that. What's up, man? Oh yeah, definitely. Good. Yeah. So 2 very easy questions.
Okay.
See if you can get them. Here we go. We'll start with this one. So here I have a box truck with a bowling ball hanging with a string.
Okay.
So one of these box trucks is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Yes, you got it. How did you know that one's at rest?
Because if it was going forward, the ball would go back.
Yes.
If it was going backward, the ball would go forward.
Yes, you got it. So obviously this is the one you would say is going to accelerating forward hand, right? Yeah. And it's because the ball swings in the opposite direction. Obviously, you got it. You got it. Pretty easy. That's the first one. So the second one's pretty similar, but instead of a bowling ball, it's a helium balloon.
Okay.
So out of these three, which one is at rest?
Ooh. Which one's at rest?
At rest. Yes, you got it. And which one's accelerating forward?
This one.
Actually, it's C.
Really?
This one. Yeah. So helium is less dense than air, obviously, right? So when you accelerate the box truck forward, in this case, the air inside of the box truck is also being moved forward because it's being pushed by the box truck that's moving forward. So because the air is more dense than the helium, is able to push it in that same direction that the air is being moved.
Cool.
So you've heard of buoyancy, right?
Yeah.
That's what buoyancy is. So here, look, I have a buoyant object. Obviously, the water is more dense than the ball in here. If I accelerate in this direction, what direction do you think the ball's gonna go? No, it goes with. You see that? See, it gets pushed in the same direction as the force because the medium is also being moved and the medium's pushing the ball in that same direction. So here, let me show you this real quick. I actually did this with pretty easy to understand, you know. So here, I don't know if you could see, it's kind of dim, but there's an apple and a helium balloon hanging with the string, both with the string. What direction do you accelerate the van? To the right or to the left? To the right, exactly, because the helium balloon's being pushed in that direction. So here, one more similar. Again, I'm using different states of matter. So this is similar to this one. It's a water container with a ping pong ball and a steel ball. So what direction do they accelerate here? To the left or to the right?
Ping pong ball
is red.
Is going. Is moving in the direction of the truck?
Yes, you got it. So it's moving in this direction. Yeah, exactly. Because the water is also moving in that direction. And the water's more dense. So here, last one, and then you got it. So I had two containers like this at rest, but I only accelerated one down vertically. So I accelerated one down vertically. Out of these two, which one would you say I accelerated down? The one on the left or the one on the right?
Are they both steel balls?
They have a ping pong ball and a steel ball.
Oh, okay. And so you're asking which
one of these two did I actually accelerate down?
Oh, the one on the right.
Yes, you got it. Because that one actually, the matter reacts to the acceleration, right? So let me ask you this. If I have a container like this at rest and I release it into free fall, I don't accelerate it, but I just release it into free fall. Do you believe it accelerates down to the earth?
It's a free fall.
Yeah. You think gravity pulled it down to the earth, I guess, would be a simpler question. Yeah, right? Okay, so here's the thing. The one on the left is actually free fall, but we see that matter doesn't react to that acceleration in free fall whatsoever. I don't know if you knew, gravity is just a theory. So a physical downwards acceleration has never been proven or measured. So that's why gravity is just a theory. It hasn't been proven. So here's the thing. If we understand buoyancy follows the direction of the force, if I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? A helium balloon. Up. Why do you think it goes up? Than air. Exactly. So the air is pushing it up. So what's pushing up the air to be able to push up the helium? So the fact is, it's the Earth that's pushing up on the air, which is pushing up on the helium. So the force of the Earth is not a pull, it's a push. So you're not being pulled towards the Earth right now, it's the Earth pushing up against you. So that's the reality. Okay. So the Earth, so here, you believe the Earth is a ball, right? So again, if up is relative on a ball, meaning if you're standing here, up is this way, you're standing down here, up is this way, in every direction away from the center, it will be up on a ball, right? If we could prove that the ground is literally moving up or pushing up, how can the Earth be moving up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball? How will it work? How can the Earth be moving up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball? So the thing is, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding. It would have to be growing, but which means it would just explode. So it wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force, which can easily be debunked by the fact that buoyancy follows. So the Earth is literally
flat earther?
Not a flat earther, and I'm gonna tell you how flat Earth is a psyop as well. So the Earth is
class in like a few minutes.
Okay, so the Earth is a level plane, and it's level because it's pushing up on you. Because level is an orientation, and the orientation is perpendicular or relative to the vertical force. But that vertical force is not down; it's up. So over 95% of flat earthers are motionless flat earthers. So that's no different than the globe Earth. They actually believe objects accelerate down towards the Earth as well. But it's actually the other way around. When you release this object, it looks like this is moving down, but it's because everything else is moving up to it and catching up to it. So the whole ball Earth versus flat Earth is a psyop. It's no different than the Republicans versus Democrats. They're both being controlled. So again, all flat earthers are, they don't even realize they're falling into another belief system that goes against physics. So again, physics shows that the earth is pushing up on you right now. You know, so if I was to ask you respectfully, what's the number one proof or reason that makes you believe the earth is a ball?
Well, just the fact that I guess I can walk. I don't know.
Were you gonna say like an airplane going one way comes back the same way?
Yeah.
So if we have a North Pole on a level surface, east and west would just be circles around a center point. So if that building was the center point and we went east and west, technically we'll just make a circle around that center point. So you can do that on a level surface. So claiming that proves the globe Earth actually doesn't prove either or, because you can do that on both models. What nobody's ever done is north to south navigation. So going south and then coming back up the ball. Nobody's ever done that kind of navigation or flight. So again,
we gotta do that.
Right? Some people do say that.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, physics proves that again, if we could prove that it's the ground pushing up on you, then that's the number one proof that debunks the globe, because the globe Earth requires the belief in a pulling force. Without a pulling force, they can't explain how we stick to it. They can't explain orbits. They can't explain nothing about their model. So they require that belief, which can be easily debunked. So real quick before you go, just, I try to do it quick. The number two proof is, do you know the radius of the Earth? Because
39.51.
Yes, that's the radius of the Earth. So if there's curvature to the Earth, then we should be able to physically measure it. So based on the radius, using a simple formula like the Pythagorean theorem, x squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for that curvature. So how do we measure for that curvature, right? So very easy. So if we go to a giant lake that was miles across to physically measure for this curvature, the lake, when it's contained in at rest, the surface is always going to be level. That's what water level means. So if we physically build a level structure above it, then we're going to see that the water's going to be parallel, level. They're trying to tell us that the surface of water bends 8 inches per mile squared, so 6 feet in 3 miles, which goes against practical reality as well. That goes against the physics of water. Again, this will be the number two proof to debunk the globe, the fact that there is no physical measurement of the Earth. And again, the number one is that the force of gravity is a push, not a pull. So yeah, appreciate the chat. Here, take my channel. I go to UCR as well, and I have this conversation all the time.
Sounds good.
All right, take care, man. Yeah, that was pretty short and sweet. That was short and sweet, right? To the point. So again, it's all it takes, just one conversation at a time. Again, the programming is deep. It's deep within thyself, right? Talking like the Bible now. It's deep within yourself. There we go. And it's deep in the amount of people that believe it, like as a whole as well. So it's a lot that we got to get through, to come to this realization. Now, not only do we have to, go through it ourselves, within ourselves, but also to try and plant seeds in others. Because obviously one person alone knowing this it's not going to make a difference, right? Unless you're taking action and planting seeds so that others can come to the realization. Now it's not just going to be me. It's going to be 100 other people. And if those other 100 people are planting seeds themselves, then it's going to be 1,000 people after that. And then after the 1,000, then we're going to have 10,000. And then little by little, again, we can make a change in a sense where we can basically show the absurdities of the globe to others and show how it's physically impossible to be claiming that the Earth is a ball, in other words. It's one conversation at a time, at the end of the day. Obviously, if you could do a presentation like at a school or something, and where you have like 100 students, and stuff like that, even 30 students, even 20 students, doesn't matter. Then you're having, an impact not only on just one person, one-on-one, you're having an impact on like 20 plus people, however many people are there, you're doing the presentation for, right? And obviously, you're going to be open to questioning as well. Anybody that has any questions as you're going along with the presentation, then that's going to, no question is going to be ignored, in other words. That way people don't think that you're just like a cult trying to convert people, right? Because that's what cults do. You know, they tell you a bunch of shit, but then when you start questioning their logic, they don't have an answer. They'll ignore it, you know, or change the subject, or completely just ignore it, you know, at the end of the day. But in this sense, no question will be ignored. Everything will be addressed. Not only that, everything will be demonstrated practically as well. So it's not just gonna be it's not just gonna be me reading from a book, right? Like a fucking religion. It's actually gonna be me demonstrating what I'm saying. So what I'm saying and also demonstrating it as well. So yeah, that's the huge difference there. The difference between a cult and then an open discussion. Because that's what it's gonna be, a presentation, but it's gonna be an open discussion as well. Because you're gonna have the right to ask questions. You're gonna have the right to be heard. That's not what happens in a cult. And I hate to say it, schools are like cults. They operate like cults, because when you start questioning the logic that the teacher presents, because the teacher, all they do is read from a book, especially when it comes to history and when it comes to these pseudoscience claims about the earth. When you start questioning the logic behind it, like how did you come to that conclusion, for example? Can you demonstrate that? How do they know, right? When you start asking these logical questions to a teacher, for example, they start getting like mad, right? They either get offended, they either feel some type of way, right? And then you start getting in trouble, right? Because you're not going along to get along, right? You're not going with the program, right? The irony there is that you are being programmed. If you don't go with the program, then you're gonna start to get in trouble, right? And literally, classrooms nowadays are like cults. You know, you cannot question your teachings. If you do, you're gonna get in trouble, right? So I think that highlights, you know, a lot about our society. You know, how schooling is done, because not only should schooling not be forced on people, which it is, it shouldn't be a closed book. It shouldn't be, oh, this is it, this is what it is, and you can't question it. You just have to accept it, right? So again, teaching, in my opinion, should be a want. So learning, in other words, should be a want. If you want to learn something, then you should have that will to want to learn that. That's the best and the fastest way you learn something. How many times do you catch yourself wanting to learn something, like actually wanting to learn something, and you actually do it? You learn it way faster than if somebody else was pushing you to do it. Because when somebody else is pushing you to learn something, not only are you not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for someone else. You know, you're just doing it to please somebody else, which at the end of the day is not going to be a good outcome. You gotta want to learn for yourself because you want to do it. So again, learning should stem from that, from a want, not a need. Not you need to do this. No, it should be you want to do this. You know, that's where learning should come from. Not only that, it should be coming from the practical, from hands-on experience. So that's where learning should be as well. Like once you want to learn something, you don't want to just read a book and that's it. Like, oh, I want to learn how to you know, build a computer, right? Like you're not just gonna fucking read a book. You're gonna have to take a computer apart, put it back together, understand what components do what. You need this to make this work. You need a power supply. You need memory. You need to understand the practical about how a computer works physically. You're gonna have to be hands-on, because if you just read a book all day and that's it, you didn't really learn. You know. Not only that, if you can't demonstrate or recreate what you're reading, then most likely it's bullshit. You know. So that's why the practical learning practically is key as well. So not only should you have the want to learn, it should be practical as well. Again, we're talking about like the physical world, you know. Now, obviously, you could want to learn about human emotions, you know, philosophical ideas. That's a different category, right? Of wanting to learn that. Obviously, you don't. When it comes to philosophical ideas, then obviously you're not going to be able to practically demonstrate any of that, right? So that's a different kind of learning, you know. But when I'm talking about learning practical stuff about the objective world, things that are real, physical, like a car, how a car works, how a cell phone works, you know, all of this, then yeah, being hands-on is the way to learn, you know. And what do schools do? They teach everything from a book, especially nowadays. You know, maybe there are some trade schools or some schools that are a bit hands-on with some of their teachings, which is cool. But slowly but surely, that's fading away from the mainstream teachings, right? You could say it's all fucking bullshit nowadays. Like, it's just they teach math without anything practical anymore. It's just numbers on a paper, right? They teach history just from a book, because obviously history, in my opinion, is irrelevant. So the fact that they even teach history about fucking events that happened fucking 500 years ago, you know, 200 years ago, like, who the fuck cares about these events that happened? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about what the president did, you know, 200 years ago or 100 years ago. Like, that's irrelevant to me. I don't give a fuck about civil wars that happened back in the day. I care about the now. I care about how we live now and how to make that better, you know. So again, all of that is just bullshit, in my opinion. You know, talking about history, you know, just learning from a book in general, right? Because that's where math has got us now. You know, everybody just learns equations, and if you could solve the equation, you're smart, right? If you could solve a mental puzzle, you're smart. But people are not putting the math into the practical use. Now, again, if you go into university and get into engineering, then maybe you'll have some hands-on experience there. But even universities, there's not a lot of hands-on experience, you know. But if you're lucky enough to do get some hands-on experience using math to build a bridge, for example, or build a building, right, then that's great. That's good. You know, that's the way we should be learning math. It's, you know, utilizing practical applications, in other words. That's when math makes sense. You know, when you just start learning fucking equations like algebra, for example, like, what the fuck do I need to learn algebra? Like, you know what I'm saying? Why the fuck do I need to learn fucking calculus? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe in computer engineering, maybe calculus is used for what do they call it, coding? Maybe, I don't know, I'm ignorant to that subject. But when it comes to building bridges, building houses, building buildings, the roads, everything here, all you need to learn is some geometry and some basic math. Basic math and geometry is what builds everything. Obviously a little bit more advanced geometries, understanding physics, you know, materials, the strength of materials, you know, all of that comes with it, you know. Utilizing math to understand all of this, you know, to be able to build, you know, it's all basic math and geometry, you know. It's what's crazy, you know. And it's crazy how geometry is not something that's really taught in school. It's only like 1 year you learn geometry, but then you got like fucking 6 years of fucking algebra and calculus. You know, so it's all fucking pointless, you know, for the most part. All right, so pretty crazy, you know. You know, in English, right? Being a writer and stuff like that. Again, I don't have nothing against writing or writers, you know. In other words, I'm not a big fan of reading myself, so by default, I'm not a big fan of being a writer either, you know. So I only think the English language is basically used. It's mostly useful for just communicating, you know, basic stuff, you know. Things that are real, you know, things you want to say, or, you know, just at a very simplistic level, right? So I'm not a person that goes by books. I honestly don't really like books that much. I prefer practical reality over books, but yeah, that's what that leads to, you know, English, writing, reading, you know, all that. Which again, if that's something you enjoy doing in your free time, and yeah, nothing wrong with that, I guess, right? But it's not for everyone, that's for sure. And it's not a necessity either. That's what people need to understand, that language is not a necessity. You know, it's kind of a luxury in a way, but at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword, right? It could be the detriment to you. That's how lies are perpetuated. It's through language. That's where formal science comes in. You know, that's how they're able to fucking lie, because of language. You know, now they're utilizing math as well with their words to sway and manipulate people. You know, so yeah, it's no given that language in English, you know, is pushed on us as well so much, you know, because that's how they're able to brainwash you and lie to you, is using language. Because without language, they can't really lie to you. you want to show me something, you got to show me in person. You got to show me, you know, in reality how it works, what you're talking about, right? If we had no language, you have to physically show me if you want me to understand or see what you're seeing, right? So language facilitates liars. It facilitates, you know, propaganda, in other words. So now you add language, now you add CGI to that, right? With these devices nowadays that you can create fake images, you can manipulate videos. Now you add CGI on top of the language, and it's like a double whammy right there. You know, now they're hitting you left, right, and center. You know, with bullshit. You know, now they're showing you aliens. Oh, aliens exist in Mars. Blah blah blah. And now they're telling you. Now they're showing. Now not only are they telling you, they're showing you some CGI bullshit as well to back up what they're saying, right? Oh, there's pyramids in Mars, and we found water in Mars, and there's rocks in Mars. Mars is a terra firma planet like Earth. It's the red planet and all this bullshit, right? And not only are they using words, now they're using CGI. So they're enforcing these fucking lies with their CGI, and that's what we're finding ourselves in right now. These people are just buying into these fucking claims without understanding the practical. You know, it's pretty crazy. Shit. Yeah, I was hoping that that putting the live stream in portrait, maybe we'll come across new people. Maybe new people will comment in the chat. You know, so I was a little hopeful that it was gonna get recommended to maybe somebody new. You know, somebody just scrolling. But so far it looks like it's just the same. No new people. I haven't seen anybody new. What's up, Anonymous, Ghostman, RJ Stewing Industries, Selenelian, Joshua Smith, what's up? Rachel. Who else? Yeah, so far nobody new. Maybe a couple. I haven't. Oh, what's up, Papa Will? I didn't see you there. I don't know if I've seen Joshua Smith before, but good to see you. Love this shirt. Thanks. I know mushrooms are great. That's for sure. All right, so let's read some of Anonymous Ghostman. The Earth exists as a stable, level plane embedded within a pervasive fundamental energy field that impacts a uniform constant upwards acceleration. What? The Earth exists as a stable, level plane embedded within a pervasive fundamental energy field that imparts a uniform constant upwards acceleration. Now when you're saying a fundamental energy, are you talking about like the upwards push of the Earth, or are you talking about like a gravitational field or an electrostatic field? When you're saying fundamental energy, I'm not exactly sure what you mean there. When you're saying a fundamental energy field that imparts a uniform constant upwards acceleration, so you're saying the Earth is not moving up, but it is exerting an upwards force? Because if that's the case, then I completely disagree with that. This acceleration generates the effect force we perceive as weight, causing objects to move towards the plane surface upon release, rather than an attractive force between masses. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you accept that the Earth is pushing up. That's what it sounds like. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, the Earth is literally moving up, pushing up, you know, which is the reason why objects appear to fall. And again, and I use the word appear to fall because it only looks like they're going down. It's the Earth that's coming up to meet it. That's the physical reality. Selenelian, William, there's a lot to process too, and eventually the ability to actually use critical thought is restored. It takes time though. No, yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I would say that it took me years you know, to get to where I'm at now. You know, I came across the flat Earth in 2016, so 9 years, over 9 years ago, and I wouldn't say that I actually got through all my biases, all my personal walls, you could say, not until I came across the upwards motion of the Earth. That like kind of like really opened my eyes to like, holy shit, like really snap out of it, you know, and to really eradicate any beliefs or any thoughts that can, you know, that can grow into a belief. In other words, that, you know, I that kind of like smashed all of that for me. Again, people might say that, oh, you're closed-minded now, and it's like, no, I was closed-minded then. Now I'm open, but as objective truth is the driver, though. You know, I'm open-minded, but objective truth is the driver. Before, I would say that I was more closed-minded because I was being swayed by certain claims, certain characters, you know, stuff like that. So I wasn't open-minded, you know, I was closing my mind in a way, you know. Now that I got through those barriers, which again took years, it didn't happen overnight. Now I can say I'm actually open because I actually don't care. I don't have any beliefs. I don't have any wants of what the earth to be. You know, I just want the truth. And in reality, objective reality matter shows me what the truth actually is and what's actually going on. So again, I'm more open-minded than I've ever been now. And again, it did take years. It took 6+ years, if anything. You know. So yeah, eventually, you know, people will come to this realization. Not everybody, I understand that, but I hope the majority do. You know, and obviously me coming out here, presenting this and showing people, this is just the first step there, you know, to getting people to understand the fundamentals, you know. And hopefully, you know, we get to a place where the majority of people do understand this and think about logic and reason about how we should be living life. And understand how an economy that we live is just there to keep us down, and how it's all just belief based. You know, the value that we give money is not real value. It's only there because we give it that value. We believe in it. You know, the real value again is in substance, materials, life. That's where the real value is, not in an economy. Not even gold, in my opinion, has value. You know, I would say wood has more value than gold, in my opinion, because you can actually build shelter from wood much easier than you would be able to than with gold. And I'm talking about literally. Obviously, people might say, "Oh, but you can use gold to buy a lot of wood, so gold has more value." No, I'm talking about in a practical sense, without an economy, because gold, we give it its value too as well. It's just one step further or back from the economy. The economy is just one step further than gold. We have to give it that value. We have to believe that it has that value, like as a monetary exchange economy, for it to have some value that it does. But in a practical sense, in my opinion, wood has way more value than gold. Easily. You can make furniture. You can build a house. You can do so much with wood, so much, and very easily too. Again, I'm pretty sure you could do the same with gold, but it's gonna require more effort. It's gonna be more tedious. It's gonna be harder, right? And then going based on that logic, and you know, hemp at the end of the day is one of the fastest growing plants that there is. So if we're talking about materials, having materials and to build or for anything, hemp becomes very resourceful. Hemp will have a lot of value in the real world because it's a fast growing plant that we can use for material, you know. So that's where the value is, in my opinion. The real value is in resources and life in general. Obviously life comes first, and then obviously the resources should be there to facilitate life for others, for everyone. That's where the real value is. Again, if you're stuck on the economy, that's where value is, owning real estate, fucking gold, you know, and all this shit, then you're no different than an NPC. You've been successfully programmed to ignore what's important for a substitute. Because that's what it is. It's all a substitute. This economy is a substitute for what's really important, for the true value of life, you know. So yeah, it's pretty clear when you're honest with yourself and when you remain objective. Then these conclusions are very easy to see. It's very clear to see, you know. It doesn't take a genius to realize that. But again, people are too filled with greed. They're too filled with negativity. They're too filled with propaganda that it passes over their head. It goes over their head, you know, at the end of the day. So yeah, it's pretty bizarre. So yeah, I'm gonna stay on for like another 10-15 minutes, see if anybody else stops. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. But I'm going over some of the comments, see if there's anything worth highlighting, or if there's any questions. I'll answer them. Anonymous Ghostman, everything you feel, your weight, objects falling, isn't caused by a magical pull from the Earth's core. It's the Earth itself rising beneath you through a constant energy field. Oh, okay. Anonymous Ghostman, yeah, that's right. I completely agree with that. Yeah, I would say the energy field, obviously that's up for investigation, what it actually is, right? What gives matter its inertia. But yeah, definitely. Gravity is a belief, not a proven force. Look with your own eyes. No curve, no spin, no pull, just truth. Exactly. RJ Stewing, I think this place is what it should be, designed to operate this way and will not be altered. Exactly. I mean, nobody can alter the physics of the Earth, of how it functions, how the Earth functions. We cannot alter the fundamentals of that. Obviously, we can fuck with the land, right? We can fuck with forests. We can cut down forests at the end of the day. But the fundamental properties, you know, of the Earth, they're always going to be there. They cannot be broken, you know. So yeah, that's true. Call for Zero, during the Nevada lockdown, I traded CBD brownies to a neighbor for sugar cane and raisins. We both won. No, yeah, definitely. Trade to me is, you know, it's pretty cool, you know, at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, too, if you think about it, if we all focused, you know, on the necessities, right? For example, growing food, you know, all that, there will be an abundance of food. Because how is it that now, if only 1%, you know, of the population is devoted to growing food for the 99% and we're able to survive, we're still able to grow more food than we need? If only 1% is actually contributing to feed the 99%. Now imagine if 80% of the people, 90%, if the majority of people contributed to actually growing food, there will be so much of an abundance of food that you wouldn't even need to trade. You would just give it. It would just be given. You know, it's a given that it would just be given. Pun not intended, but it came up. So, but yeah, if everybody was just to focus on that, there will be an abundance of food that, again, you wouldn't need to trade. It would just be an abundance that it would just be given. You know, people in need, you know, you would just get what you need, you know. You wouldn't have to beg. You wouldn't have to do none of that, you know. Because at the end of the day, food rots. It gets recycled again. If you don't eat it in a certain amount of time, well, guess what? It's gonna rot, and now it's gonna become soil, and then you're gonna have to use that to grow more food for the future. So again, if we have an abundance of food, it's gonna rot. Might as well share it, right? If there's an abundance of food, right? Because real food should perish. When we're talking about fruits and vegetables, they should perish. If a fruit and vegetable doesn't perish, then it's probably not good to eat. Look at the McDonald's burgers, right? People that fucking save them for fucking 10 years and they don't rot. They don't perish at all whatsoever. I don't think we should be eating that. Because food should perish. It should rot, in other words, you know? And that very simple fact that happens is that if there is an abundance of food, well, then let's just share it. Instead of it rotting, oh, but we could use it for soil. Well, guess what? your shit, your manure is soil. So you'll still be contributing, right, to growing more plants, even if you eat the food. If you eat the fruit and veg, we're not gonna lose out on compost, because guess what? Your shit is soil. See how the body works? See how it's all meant to work in a cycle? Nobody should ever be fucking going hungry. Nobody should be fucking be begging for food. Nobody. The way the system works is a fucking cycle. Our bodies are part of that cycle. We put in, the body puts out soil, which we can use. It has nutrients, it has minerals to be able to grow more food. Guess what? Seeds that come from fruit, you can use those seeds to plant more trees, which give you more fruit, which gives you more seeds, which you can plant more trees, which gives you more trees, which gives you more fruit. It's a cycle. Life is a cycle. The fact that people are fucking suffering and fucking going through it for the basic necessities, which is food and shelter, is fucking mind-boggling. Like, it shouldn't be like this, you know, but it is, you know, and it's because we are giving our attention to the wrong things. People are literally putting their attention where it shouldn't be, because these people are the ones fucking you. The people you're giving your attention to right now, the majority of people are being fucked by the people they're giving their attention to, because they're not using their own discernment, they're not using their own common sense, you know. So again, you have to realize that you know, we're part of a cycle here. Nothing could ever run out. Oh, resources are sparse. Resources are not as much as they used to be. Blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, again, that's because we're fucking with the land. If we all focus on the soil, replenishing the soil, nothing can ever run out. You know, again, it's all part of a cycle. The sooner people realize that, the faster we can move forward as well. But again, people can't realize that if they still believe in a fucking ball earth that's finite resources that are wasting, you know, and we're getting fucking fuel from fucking dinosaur bones that eventually is gonna run out, and blah 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 blah, again, resources are running out. And if you believe in all of that propaganda, then you're never gonna come to these simple conclusions of how the earth actually works. So that's where this whole globe earth bullshit, you know, it's very important. It's the fundamental about this reality of how they function, and it's the baseline of where we should all start. Understanding that, again, the earth is a level plane in upwards motion. And then a lot of people might not think that there's much significance there, but there is. It's the most significance right now, especially if you believe otherwise. If you believe in a motionless flat earth or a globe earth, then you're not even at the baseline to actually moving forward for a better life. So if you're not even at the baseline, then what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? You know, what the fuck? You know, like it's pretty crazy, man. It's fucking bizarre, you know, to say the least. You know. So, all right, let me see if there's anything else. Nate X, why even use money at all? If everybody was allowed to do the right thing, why would you use something that is designed as a purposeful tool of enslavement? Exactly. Again, the economy is just a tool that's being used against us. It's a tool that they're using to enslave us. Exactly. You introduce the economy, then you introduce taxes, you introduce owning property, for example, you know, all of these concepts, you know, are the detriments of our enslavement, are the detriment to ourselves, you know, and we're trained to follow on those footsteps, you know, and yeah, exactly, I completely agree with that. Yes, precisely. Sadly, Anonymous Ghostman, yes, precisely. Sadly, no one will ever consider this perspective. Yeah, again, if you can simplify your presentation or your argument to a globe earther, for example, from the level earth perspective, then again, simplifying it is key. for people to understand it, because again, you're not gonna convert someone in one day. You know, again, even for me to come to where I'm at now, it took at least 6 years to get to where I'm at. You know, it didn't happen overnight. You know, obviously little by little I started chipping away at my own beliefs and my own reasoning, my own common sense, little by little. You know, I started chipping away at that, but at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere, and it's never too late. At the end of the day, it's never too late. So again, taking little steps like this, having one-on-one conversations, you know, with people, it's gonna make a big difference at the end of the day. By Anonymous Ghostman, by replacing direct experience with abstract science, control is easier. The deception isn't just wrong, it's designed to limit how we think, live, and question. Yeah, exactly. Inertia is a key component. Yeah, there has to be something, you know, obviously that causes inertia, in my opinion. Again, I don't know what that is exactly. Obviously, it's up for investigation, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how the motion of the Earth works exactly. So I'm completely ignorant to that, if I'm being honest. Well, what I do know is that, again, the Earth is rising up, it's pushing up against you. The ground is literally moving up. So the whole Earth containment, the whole Earth system is moving up, you know, and we're just simply inside of it going for a ride, you know. That's what it comes down to. Anonymous Ghostman at Amanda. Earth moves up to meet the object. There's zero acceleration in free fall. Exactly. JT, globe Earth logic. I see a circle in the sky, therefore the Earth is a globe. LOL. That's true. Again, it just shows how people's thinking is not all there, you know, when it comes to the Earth. Again, I'm not knocking people off completely. Obviously, people are experts in certain fields, in certain traits, right? But when it comes to proving the globe Earth, right? Oh, I see a circle in the sky, so therefore the Earth is a globe. It's pretty funny though. Cal40, a basic meat plant may produce 1 pound per day. Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy. I know there's definitely some. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of more fruit and veg that we don't know of, you know, that are probably more abundant as well, that grow faster, bigger, you know, stuff like that can provide more, you know, and easier to grow, obviously. But I feel like there's a lot that's being hidden from us, you know, especially when it comes to the food. So that's not a given, you know, that's obvious in my opinion. But yeah. Anonymous Ghostman, William gets it. We're a minority. Just wish I knew how to wake up the masses. Yeah, I know. Especially with all the propaganda, all the mainstream outlets, obviously backing up the globe Earth, for example, all the censoring online, right? All of that makes it way more difficult to get this out to the masses, right? But just because it's difficult, that doesn't mean I'm gonna quit, you know. And that's why I do this, you know. That's why I come out to the universities and speak to the students one-on-one, you know. Is because if they're gonna censor the internet, you know, and censor this topic and use the mainstream at their advantage, then we gotta do what we gotta do. Then we gotta do what actually does work, what can actually get the word out there, and that's actually going out in the real world, speaking to real people. Again, it might not reach the masses like you would want it to, like online. You can blow up, you know, anybody can blow up in overnight, for example. But just because that's not possible, that doesn't mean I'm just gonna quit, you know. At the end of the day, I'm gonna still put an effort to get this out, and hopefully little by little, again, we could chip away at it. Because if we don't do this, if we don't start chipping away at it now, then it's never gonna get anywhere. it's you know, starting to chip at it right now, and then little by little maybe more people will join and start chipping at it a little more and more. The more people you get, the more people are chipping at it, and bam, you're gonna be able to get to where you want to get to faster, right? But if we never start chipping away at it, then yeah, it's never gonna you're never gonna get nowhere. So yeah, it is difficult to get it out to the masses, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try at the end of the day, you know. To be level-headed is absolutely necessary for you and everyone. Exactly, I completely agree. Again, being level-headed means that you trust your own common sense, you trust your own discernment, you know, and yeah, that's a fundamental baseline in my opinion, for sure. Alrighty, so what time is it? Okay. Alright, that's gonna be it for this one. Alright, we had some decent conversations today. They were, you know, good overall at the end of the day, and yeah, that's all I can ask for, is to have a chat with someone when I come out. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Again, thanks again for everybody that shows up, everybody that watches my videos, that shares them, that likes them, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.